Aloha. What's up, Penn Nation? You're now tuned into yet another edition of BJPenn.com Radio, the fighter's voice. This is episode 107. We've got 3 awesome guests and 3 great conversations I know you guys are going to enjoy. As always, I'm your host, Jay Kinch. Pleasure to be here with you for each and every episode. And please make sure you guys follow us on social media at BJPenn Radio, at BJPenn.com. We greatly appreciate all your continued support. For this episode, we're going to be joined by former UFC lightweight champion, Bellator champion, Bodog champion, and more than likely soon to be lightweight champion for one championship, the Underground King himself, Eddie Alvarez. We're going to kick things off with Eddie, and then our second guest. It's a first for BJPenn.com Radio, really, in that this man is a professional wrestling superstar. First one we've ever had on the show. It was an amazing conversation with him. He is now the president of Combate Americas. And also, with a history of fighting in Japan, mixed martial arts, this man is set to make a return to combat sometime in 2019. Of course, I'm talking about Alberto Del Rio. I had a very long and fascinating conversation with him. I really cannot speak highly enough about the guy. Again, first time having a professional wrestler on the show, and he lived up to the hype, to say the least. And then closing out this episode, current one championship lightweight king, the landslide himself, Eduard Folayang. So another solid episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's jump right into things. BJPenn.com Radio, the fighter's voice. I'm your host, Jay Kinch, kicking things off for episode 107, the Underground King himself, Eddie Alvarez. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome to the show an absolute fan favorite competitor, longtime MMA veteran who has captivated the hearts and minds of this community for over a decade, the man they call the Underground King, Eddie Alvarez. Very excited to have you on the show, Eddie. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. How you doing, man?
Excellent. How's it going, brother?
Always the same thing, man. The daily grind. You know how that is.
Dealing with it myself.
Right. So listen, there's much to discuss, but before we jump into things, man, how was your Thanksgiving, and is the Alvarez clan ready for Christmas?
Oh, hell yeah, man. Thanksgiving went really well. I don't believe I'm fighting for a little while, so I wouldn't like to wait all the way till March, but the good thing is I get to enjoy the holidays. I have 4 kids at home. Me and my wife love the idea of not having the idea of a fight on our mind and just get to enjoy our holidays and have a good time with the kids.
Absolutely, and not to mention you get to grub out, right?
Yeah.
And looking ahead to 2019, I mean, as you just mentioned there's nothing lined up yet, but it's going to be a new and exciting chapter of your journey in mixed martial arts with one championship. I'd imagine you're very eager to show the Eastern fans what you're all about.
Yeah, so I made a name for myself here in the United States by going to a tournament in Japan and representing America in one of the most prestigious tournaments there was, the Dream Lightweight Grand Prix. At the time, it had some of the best lightweights all over the world in it. So I represented America in that tournament. I went undefeated in the tournament, and I did really well. So that's where I sort of made a name for myself. So it'd be pretty cool to go back there, put on for them fans again. And from what I'm hearing whispers that there's going to be a network deal here in the United States. So not only will I get to, appease the Asian fans live, but I'll also be able to fight in front of an audience, in front of the American audience on TV.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned there, I know you have some history with the Japanese fans and competing against the Japanese talent. So it's kind of like things are coming full circle for you.
Yeah, man.
Now, having been a champion in pretty much every major promotion that's ever existed and competing all over the world for as long as you have, how much of the decision to sign with one was based on the opportunity to capture yet another major title for your trophy case?
Yeah, so I mean, whenever you're going to free agency, of course, just like any athlete, you're looking where you're valued the most, what team's going to value the most, what promotion's going to value the most, and support you, your family, and everybody. So the monetary gain is always paramount, but the idea of capturing the third belt just excited me. It was tough. It's tough to be excited. Like I won the Bellator belt. I defended it. I won the Bellator belt twice. I was a 2-time champion in Bellator, and then I went to UFC, and I won their world title. And that's always been a dream of mine. So to go to the last major organization and win that world title, it'd make history. No fighter's ever done it. And I'll be the only fighter to be as ranked as high as I have in the last 15 years and win every major world title, traveling everywhere and be able to achieve all the things I've wanted to do.
Absolutely, man. Now, do you feel as though you'll be finishing this historic career with the promotion, or are we not, closing in on the final chapter of your journey?
No, I don't. I try not to think about anything like that.
Right.
I financially, I have other businesses, so I let that take care of any thoughts of retirement and things like that. So financially, I set myself up to be ready for it. But as far as wrapping my mind around the idea of to stop fighting, I'm 35 years young. I've never done enhancements. I've always done things the correct way, so I never really had a serious injury ever during my career. And I just think it gave me the longevity it did. What am I, 16 years in the game of fighting? I think the average fight career maybe 8 years or so. So right. I've already doubled it, and I'm doing feats that now at 35 that I couldn't do at 20. So I feel great.
And on top of that, as long as the body stays healthy, I mean, the years that you gain in the mind and learning in this sport, I mean, that's paramount. So as long as the body keeps up, you only improve as an athlete and as a martial artist.
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I physically, I don't believe there's any ceiling. I mean, when I set my mind to doing something, it's done. There's not anything I can't achieve physically. I'm already past that part. And I come to new understandings every single training camp where I'm pushing myself to a certain level, and I come to a different understanding every time and learn something new. So it's still enjoyable in that way, and I'm just looking forward to a new belt, a new promotion, new opponents, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, when I speak to Western athletes who have signed with one championship, Demetrius Johnson, Brandon Vera, Gary Tonin, the underlying theme that seems to be the same for all of them is that one championship makes the athletes feel at home, appreciated, well taken care of, and most important of all, the company's focused on martial arts and telling the stories of their athletes. Staying away from the era of trash talk and controversy that we seem to be in right now. Can the same be said for you? Do you feel the same way as those guys?
I do. It's a competitive environment. I was a fighter. I was born a fighter. I didn't have to learn how to fight. I literally went to a fight gym. I was good already. I felt relaxed in that environment already. So as far as fighting, it came natural to me. I didn't need to be emotional to get in a fight. I didn't need to curse at a guy or even be mad at him in any way. So for me, it was just about the idea of competition against another guy who's trying to push themselves to the limit. And the byproduct of that is both people get better. Get better not only as fighters but as human beings. So I like the fact that they're pushing the martial arts aspect of it. And if you see the promos are meaningful. They're not two guys trashing each other and beating each other down and saying how much they suck. They're meaningful, and the fans can learn something from them, and they're inspirational. So my story in itself, it's a rocky story in itself, and I think people should dive deeper and understand who I am and where I come from. They can draw a lot of inspiration from, and I think that's what one wants to do.
Absolutely, and I think that just the allure of your story, like you're talking about there, they pretty much have all the promotional stuff that they need, and being able to tell that story to the Asian fans is all the more better for you and broadening that fan base. But Demetrius in particular, he had made the point that he feels like he's going to benefit a great deal from moving. The Eastern fans appreciate the smaller athletes, and they appreciate talented athletes who remain humble, both inside and outside of competition. Was that a big part of the appeal for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, the understanding of the sport and what it takes, it's a little greater there. I mean, I fought there in 2008, and the fans are already really educated on the sport. They understand, on top of just getting inside the cage and the carriage it takes, but the conditioning, the ground aspect, the stand-up aspect, they're a little more well-rounded and well-knowledgeable than fans in America, just because martial arts been around longer in Asia. So the fans really applaud the fight itself, and you never hear a boo. I've never heard a boo anytime I've been out in Asia. They just simply don't boo. They respect the competitors for their courage, for getting inside the cage and giving it their all. So not that a part of sports is about cheering on a team, and I understand that aspect of it, but it's already a lot getting in there. You just want to feel appreciated for the amount of effort you put in, and you definitely feel that way when you're out there.
Absolutely. They appreciate that old school Bushido code of, you're going in there to compete and go to war with each other, but there's a ton of mutual respect after that final bell, and the fans certainly feel that same way. Of course, as you mentioned before, though, there's always the financial side of things, the opportunity to really expand your fan base. As I mentioned, in the world of martial arts, where it derives, like you were talking about. As you said, you've always had a big following in Japan, but you must be pretty stoked for all the exposure in the rest of those Asian markets, right?
Yeah, so we didn't know what was possible because we've been under the Reebok deal for the past 4 or 5 years. So
right.
Sponsors was a tough thing to be able to get, but almost immediately we're sitting down with some pretty large names and talking about some pretty large numbers about sponsorship and things of that. So even outside of one making an offer that beat what in America beat one of the larger organizations here in America in UFC. They beat out their offer, but the monetary gain as far as sponsors and freedom and owning certain rights to your own are definitely just the icing on the cake. Being able to go out there and have your own sponsors and have things in your own image and your own liking, it's just a plus.
Yeah, I think that people don't really recognize the kind of landmark distribution deals that One Championship has already put together. I mean, the kind of companies, the size companies that are already behind them in Asia. Obviously, American fans, we haven't even heard of any of these companies, but they're doing some really big things over there.
They are. The amount of viewers they get is incredible. It's just a different country, and the amount of people involved, the amount of people watching is nuts. And it's all free. That's the thing. They're not paying for anything. So I believe they're using the same business plan as Facebook. Where when Facebook first came out, they were up in the air about whether people should pay for it or not. And I think it was Mark Zuckerberg who said, well, people, if you have to pay for it, then it isn't cool anymore. You know what I mean? So they definitely want to make it cool. They want to make it free. They want to make it accessible for anyone in the world to watch it anytime. So knowing that my fight, that there's literally no excuse for a fan could make up to not tune in, that it's absolutely free and anybody has access to it, that makes me smile.
Right, and then on top of that, like you talked about earlier, we're on the cusp of them landing a network deal for the U.S. as well. So, I mean, anytime Eddie Alvarez steps into competition with one championship, anybody across the globe will be able to watch you compete.
Yeah, and that was another factor going to one. I started to ask myself, like, I fought all over. I fought in Dream, Bellator, MFC, Bodog, UFC. I fought for every major organization. And there comes a time where people, no matter what network you're on, after your fans are your fans, they'll literally follow you anywhere if you fight. And right. I know that from my own perspective, because there's just certain guys that if they're fighting, I'm going to know and I'm going to watch. You know what I mean? I'm just a fan of them. I enjoy watching them fight. I don't care where it is. I just enjoy them expressing themselves inside a cage. So I truly believe that I have enough fans and have enough eyeballs that I think fans know what I bring to the table. It's very consistent, and I'm going to go inside that cage, and no matter who's in front of me, it's going to be a good time.
Right, so it's kind of like the duality there, right? You're going to bring all of your fans, Western fans in particular, over to this new promotion, and on top of that, you get that exposure to all of those Asian fans as well. But I'm wondering, what was the initial conversation like between you and Chatri? Did you guys click immediately? I think that most guys seem to share the same values that Chatri does in regards to martial arts as a whole.
So Chatri, just in the way he speaks, Chatri has been a fighter. He's a lifelong martial artist. He studies under Renzo Gracie. So first and foremost, fighters respect other fighters. Right. Just because they understand the journey that you're on and the ups and downs that happen. So there's an empathy involved, and it's hard to find a promoter who has that same kind of empathy. And so it's been a breath of fresh air dealing with him on a personal level and on a business level. He just kind of gets it. But me myself, he had a mutual friend in Renzo Gracie, so I just called Renzo, and I knew Renzo my whole career almost. So I called him up, and he gave me validation. Because me and Chatri only knew each other for a few weeks, and he gave me more validation to let me know the kind of people that we're dealing with, that they're a man of their word, and they're highly successful people. So I'm excited to be involved with one and taking it to the next level.
Right. I mean, when a guy like Renzo gives the seal of approval, you kind of just got to go with that, right?
Yeah, there's just certain people that their word is everything, and Renzo's one of them guys,
For sure.
He's about as credible as it gets, and if he says jump, you should probably jump.
Yeah, as high as you can, for that matter.
Yeah.
So it was announced that you'll be participating in the lightweight Grand Prix. Lightweight in one being 170 pounds. They have a really interesting approach to weight cutting with the hydration testing, and I think at the end of the day, the company is really looking out for you guys, your best interests. That being said, tell us about the decision to compete at 170. Was it strictly about the hydration testing for you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, what goes on Fight Week is a little bit silly. If everybody just agreed that we're not going to deplete ourselves of water, then every lightweight in the UFC, Bellator, and anybody else who does it, they're going to end up fighting at 170 because all the top 5 guys go into Fight Week on Tuesday anywhere from around 170 to 176. And they all have to get the 155 by Friday. So that's the process that goes on. It's basically, you got a sponge, it's completely full, and you wring it out until there's nothing left, and then you fight the following day after you absorb as much water as you can. The process is silly. When you think about it in the entirety, it's silly. That if everyone would just agree, we're going to go into Fight Week, and we're going to agree that we have to pass the hydration, then everybody would end up just fighting at 169, 170 anyway. So the idea of just depleting yourselves of water, you're ruining your own performance and the performance that you're about to give the fans. You know what I mean? So it does not. It's detrimental at that point, and the suffering that goes on between Tuesday and Friday. It's just unnecessary and not needed.
Yeah, right.
Right,
and what it takes away from your performance, not to mention whatever kind of diminishing returns you're getting on your body long term as well. I mean, when you see this company doing this hydration thing, it's revolutionary to say the least, right? Should everybody follow suit in your opinion?
I kind of do. I don't know what's exactly right, but I think as long as this seems like the best way I've seen yet, you're going to have to pass 2 hydration tests, one Wednesday, one Thursday, and then and as long as you pass them, you're good to go to fight on Saturday. Right. So I don't know if I've seen anything so far that that's better and safer for the fighters.
So you feel as though you're going to be able to go out there and perform at a higher level without cutting all that weight and dehydrating yourself. This is going to be possibly the best Eddie Alvarez we've ever seen.
Absolutely. The facts are the facts. Even if you're a small percentage dehydrated, the performance level on a high level athlete diminishes like 50%, even at the smallest level.
Right.
So to be fully hydrated, to have your muscles contracting the way they're supposed to have your mind nice and sharp, your brain fully hydrated, it just makes for a better show for the promoter. It makes for a better mindset for the fighter, and then it's more entertainment for the fans. It's a win-win for everyone.
I couldn't agree more. So, has there been a target date set for this debut? I'd imagine that, like everybody else I talked to, you're probably eyeing that card in Japan in March?
Yeah, so they want to have a coming-out party in Tokyo, I believe. So we're going to be in Japan. I don't know if it's Tokyo, but I know it's in Japan, and it's going to be in the end of March. That'll be the first round of the tournament, I believe.
Awesome. Now, as far as opponents go, I'm wondering, have you paid much attention to the roster? Does anybody stand out for you as a fun or a potential fun matchup, a challenging matchup? Shinya Aoki immediately comes to mind for me. I'd imagine you'd love to compete against him again.
Yeah, so there's a number of fighters in the division. There's actually guys I feel like are harder and better matchups than Shinya, but I'd imagine that if Aoki keeps winning, that we're going to cross paths. But I'm looking forward to everyone. I've always been of the mind that just because someone is more popular doesn't make them a better fighter. So in this case, back then I've always been the lesser popular guy. But in my heart, I knew that I could be the best in the world anywhere. So I'm sure there's guys just like that here that are very unpopular and very good at fighting. and I'm looking forward to running into him.
Now, I spoke to the current champ, Eduard Folayang, last night. He was very excited at the idea of possibly facing you, and he said that you were likely the favorite to win the Grand Prix. What's your response to that, and are you familiar with Edward's career at all?
Yeah, he's been doing well. He's a tough fighter. Yeah, exciting to watch. Very good conditioning. I've watched a number of the guys, and I feel very good about my chances of beating everyone in the tournament. I'm a tournament fighter, so I'm not so worried about the opponents, and I never am. It's more about me coming out at my best come March and competing at my highest level. When I do that, I can beat any lightweight in the world on any night. I know that about myself, and just come March, I just want to be the best version of myself possible, and fans will see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know I'm getting excited just at the prospect of you competing without any dehydration issues. But to stay with potential opponents here for a second, Gary Tonin had also expressed some interest in competing against you when he moves back up to 170. Completely respectful, of course, given that you guys both come from the same lineage of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But would you entertain the idea of fighting Gary after he's put a few more wins under his belt?
Whoever won tells me to fight, I'll fight. I have no I literally have no preference. I'm here for one reason, and that's to get the one championship world title. I don't care who's in my path or who's in the way. I'll get that belt, and I would have achieved every single belt from every major organization. That's what my eye's on now. My eye's just on that gold, and whoever's in the path of that, God bless them.
So obviously, you know, the financial gains, the ability to have sponsorships, all of that played a big factor, the values of the company as well. But it sounds to me like this is really about legacy for you.
100%. Yeah, man. It's just about, you know, me setting goals and going after them and achieving them one by one. And I never really, the goal has always been to beat the guy in front of me. I never hyped up the guy in front of me. He's simply a person. When I call my best self, you got one can line him up and I'll knock him down. I'll be one-track minded. I'll have complete blinders on. When I enter a tournament, it's mostly about me just bringing it and bringing it at a real high pace and getting in my opponent's faces. And most of the time, they fall.
All right, listen, Eddie, you've been more than generous with your time. I just got a couple more questions here for you. One of them completely off topic here. I know you're a big boxing fan. What did you make of the Wilder Fury fight, and what was your reaction to the draw?
It was the same as Canelo Gennady. It doesn't surprise me no bit. This is boxing. Boxing is like WWE wrestling. The outcome of the fight is already scripted. It's already made before the fight happens. And when the money side doesn't win in a boxing fight, they call it a draw. That's just what happens. So Deontay's the money side. They want him to win. They need him to win. He needs to be the next American dream. He lost. And that's the truth of what happened. He lost.
Right.
And the judge that gave it to him, I mean, geez. The fact that that judge even still has a job is incredible. But it's a sad, it's becoming a sad sport. I love to watch boxing. I love to train boxing. I believe striking-wise, boxing is the best martial art that you could have for a fight. But when two guys can't have an outcome with integrity, and that's always questioned, It's sad. It's sad. I mean, it's fucking terrible. I mean, the guy won the fight. He won the fight, and because he's not the money side, he gets a draw. It's a sad thing to see.
Yeah, man, I agree. I was watching it live. I said to my buddy as soon as they called the draw, I said, man, this is exactly like Triple G and Canelo. Did you see Teddy Atlas's response to all this? He went off, man.
Yeah, it was exactly what it should be, and I'm proud of Teddy for standing up for what he believes in and not being politically correct about it, even though he's an announcer on that network. You know what I mean? It's incredible that he'll say what he's going to say regardless.
Right?
It's
yeah.
sad, man. It's so fucking sorry. It's the end. You know what I mean?
Right. I know.
You know it's the end when you know the minute it's so see through now. It's like it's not even questionable. Like I like the bet boxing because I can pick the winners. You know what I mean? I know who's going to win before the fight ends. So like
right.
I love betting boxing. It's the easiest thing to bet on in anything, any sports gambling. Boxing is the easiest thing to bet.
You know what, man? You make a great point. I live in Rhode Island, and they just opened up sports betting here. We're the first state in New England to have it. And now that you say that, dude, next time I see whoever the money side is of the fight, you're right. I'm probably going to bet on a draw, even if I think the guy's going to lose. So that's a great point you make there. But you're right. It is sad.
Go ahead and look at my Twitter. The night of the Canelo fight or the night before, look at my prediction. You're gonna and I put serious money down that fight and I won. And you're gonna see my prediction and you're gonna laugh because my prediction was Gennady Golovkin is going to win, and they're either going to give the fight to Canelo or call it a draw again.
Yeah.
And what happened? One judge said draw, and next judge said Canelo.
Yep. It's a damn shame, man. Like you said, no integrity left. And you know, when you think about it, this fight, Deontay and Fury, that was supposed to be the great hope of the heavyweight division again. And here we are. Everybody's left with a bad taste in their mouth. So it is a damn shame. But, you know, being a Philly native, boxing, being a scrapper, all that's in your blood, man. You must be pumped to bring some of that flair over to Asia in 2019. That's got to be, you know, the biggest setback of Asian competitors. Right? I mean, like, plenty of great kickboxers out there, but not many well-versed in the sweet science.
No. It's not huge out there. And even wrestling, for the most part, I think lacked a little bit, too. So, you know, I'm looking to definitely bring a different flair. They love Philadelphia out there. They love Rocky. So I'm looking forward to bringing that.
Now, in conclusion, man, for the army of diehard fans that you have out there that can't wait to see you get back into action, what can they expect from the Underground King in 2019?
You know, I'm excited to get back in there and just be my old self, get inside a cage, and just be super unpredictable, get in my opponent's faces, and leave it up to the fight god to decide the winner. I've always done things that way. This sport's full of uncertainty, and I've learned to appreciate the uncertainty and I guess go along with it, not fight it. And I just like to be relaxed in there, be my true self, and go after my opponents very, very viciously. And you know, I appreciate the following and the support that I've always got from them. And let's do it. Let's go get this world title.
All right. Listen, man, it was an absolute pleasure to speak with you today, Eddie. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have. Greatly appreciate the time, and I hope we can catch up again in the future. But before we let you go, man, anything you think we missed, any shout-outs, sponsor plugs, the floor is yours, brother.
No, we're all good, man. We don't have anything. We don't have anything just yet.
Okay, no problem. All right, man, we're looking forward to what the future has in store and all the continued success for you. Have a great holiday and good health to you and your family, man.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Later. First time speaking with Eddie. Not only a consummate professional and an absolute fan favorite when it comes to the sport of mixed martial arts, but a really cool guy as well, and humble. You heard him talk about it. He's confident in his skills. He's happy to not have to engage in the trash talk any longer now that he's with one championship. He's ready to focus on being the best mixed martial artist that he can, win this tournament, and eventually win that title. But let's keep it moving, like we always do. BJPenn.com radio, the fighter's voice. Coming up next, former WWE champion, mixed martial artist, Combate Americas president, returning to MMA, Alberto Del Rio. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome to the show former WWE champion, MMA competitor, and now MMA executive, Alberto Rodriguez, or as many of you may know him, Alberto Del Rio. Thanks for joining us today, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, my friend. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here, man.
Hey, our pleasure as well, my friend. Real quick, before we jump into things, I saw that you were recently naturalized as an American citizen. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That happened 4 months ago, and to be honest, it was amazing. I also had the opportunity to be the guest speaker for that ceremony, and it's just amazing. You know, I'm proud of the place I was born. I'm proud of being Mexican, but I'm also proud of being American these days. This country has offered me absolutely everything. This country gave me the opportunity to accomplish my dreams and become the man I always wanted to be.
Absolutely, man. It is the land of opportunity. I just want to say congratulations on that. I know it's not an easy task.
No, it's not, and thank you so much. I actually just 30 minutes ago, I had the opportunity to have a meet and greet conference, motivational speech with students from Fresno College, and it was fantastic. I was just telling them all about it and about the opportunities that this amazing country has to offer, and I was telling them to see, watch, and seize those opportunities that they're going to be having, just because that's what this country do for their citizens. They have many opportunities that we don't have in other places.
Yeah, that kind of philanthropy work that never ends, right?
Yes, no, definitely. You know, I do a lot of stuff down there in Mexico, down there in San Antonio, Texas, which is a place where I live. I do a lot of stuff with the Salvation Army, and these days with Combate Americas, we're giving back to the community. We started doing this just this week here in Fresno, California. We also went to a wrestling academy where we held a seminar for kids with we didn't charge them a dime. They didn't pay for anything, and this is something we're going to start doing every single time we do events with Combate Americas. We had like 40 kids yesterday having fun with us, learning about the sport, and hopefully one day we're going to have one of those kids is going to be the next national champion, the next Olympic champion. We'll see.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's something I'd like to get to in a moment, because it kind of reminds me of the community outreach that one championship is doing over in Asia. But there's obviously much to discuss, and to be honest with you, this would be my first interview with a WWE superstar like yourself, so I figured we should start with your background for all of our listeners who don't follow professional wrestling as closely as they might have when they were younger. You've wrestled all over the world. You've actually competed in MMA quite a bit as well. Break it all down for us.
Yeah, well, actually, I started with amateur wrestling when I was 8 years old. That was in Mexico. I was born in San Luis Potosí, Mexico, but my family moved to Mexico City when I was 7 years old, and that's when I started practicing wrestling, amateur wrestling. I had the opportunity to become national champion at that young age, and I became part of the national team when at the same age, at 8 years old, and then I continued competing for many years. Was a national champion, Pan American, Central American champion, and I competed all over the world representing my country, Mexico. And then I became a pro wrestler. I started in Mexico. I started in Mexico alongside with my dad. I think I was 2 years in pro wrestling when I got the opportunity to go to Japan for an MMA fight. That was my first fight, and that was in 2001. Mr. Saeki, who was the promoter, the owner of the company called Deep at the time. I don't even know if they're still in business. I think they are, but he was the first one giving me an opportunity to fight. Back then, when I started in MMA, when I was doing pro wrestling shows, I was making like $75, $100 per match, per wrestling match, and I would take bus rides for 10, 12 hours to do those $75, $100, sorry, not thousand, $100 per match. And then this person, Mr. Saeki, came and offered me $15,000 to fight, and I was like, why are you gonna pay me $15,000 to go to Japan and fight? Just, man, tell me where to sign. I'll do it right now. And then I went to Japan. I got my first victory in MMA. It was I made a big splash because I ended up winning that fight in the first 2 minutes with a German suplex. When the Japanese fighter was trying to defend that German suplex, he ended up like breaking his arm, or the movement that that I did, or the way I threw the Japanese fighter, ended up breaking his arm in 3 pieces. And then of course that shocked the pro wrestling world, the MMA world in Japan, because
that's quite the debut.
Yeah, it was an amazing debut, and especially coming from a pro wrestling family, one of the most important pro wrestling families in the business. Made WWE turn their eyes on me, and that's when I got the call from WWE, and I joined the company. I started in Florida with them, and after 3 months in their developmental center, I made my big debut here in California as well. It was actually here in California. We're in Fresno. We are like an hour away, I think, from Bakersfield, California, which is where I did my debut. And in pro wrestling, in WWE, I won absolutely everything you have to win in the sport. Royal Rumble champion, Money in the Bank champion, 4-time world heavyweight champion, and U.S. champion, and everything you have to win.
Right, the accolades are endless. Sport.
Yes.
Now, based on what I've read, you've jumped around quite a lot, not only in wrestling, but MMA as well. You've also had a plethora of ring names and personas. Would you say that you're more of an opportunist, or you just prefer to mix things up?
Well, no, it's just, I will call it life, life was presenting me these opportunities, like I was telling you.
Right.
I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. That was my dream since I was a little kid. I'm also an architect. I went to school to be an architect. I graduated with honors in Mexico, and but pro wrestling has always been my love, my passion. Just the MMA, my MMA career started because I was hungry. I needed the money. I wanted to make money, and since I had my amateur wrestling background, I saw many amateur wrestlers fighting in Japan, and I said to myself, hey, you know what? Let's do it.
Amateur wrestling.
What's the worst thing?
Right, I was going to say amateur wrestling, of course, being the best base for mixed martial arts.
Yes, exactly, amigo, exactly. So I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? That they kick my ass? They kick my ass, and I'm still going to get paid.
Yeah.
And if I kick someone's ass, I'm still going to get paid, and now I might have the opportunity to get that same amount of money or even more for the second fight. And that's how it happened. And then I did 11 MMA fights, and after my last fight in Japan for Pride, is when these guys called me and they gave me the opportunity to come to the United States, and of course I said yes, right. I had that opportunity. I seized that. I saw it, and I seized that opportunity. And well, the rest is history.
Right. Now, I'd imagine that competing in wrestling in Japan, based on the story you're telling, that's what led you over into mixed martial arts, correct?
that put me over in my mixed martial arts after that first victory. Is that what you said?
Well, I'm asking, so you competed in wrestling in Japan, and then they saw potential in you to compete in mixed martial arts, or you were still competing in pro wrestling in Mexico at that time?
Yeah, no. I was still doing pro wrestling shows. I mean, it wasn't until after my second fight when I decided to stop doing pro wrestling for a while because, as you know, and many other people knows, when you pursue the an MMA career, you have to focus on that. Absolutely. I mean, you cannot have distractions. There's no way you can be like doing pro wrestling shows and then getting up the next day to train at 6 in the morning and then train again at 2 and then train again at 8.
Right.
So I decided to stop doing pro wrestling shows, and I moved from Mexico to Laguna Niguel, California, where Marco, who was the MMA legend, was living at the time, and I started training in his academy, and then I started just fighting. And I only fight. I decided to be just fighting in MMA, and I did that for 2 years, I think, until I decided to go back and into the pro wrestling world.
Interesting. So you were under the tutelage of the legendary Marco Huas.
Yes, sir. I had the opportunity to train with him. It was after my second fight. He saw me and he said, "Hey, man, you're a fantastic wrestler. Your wrestling is amazing." Then we started talking, and he said, "Hey, I mean, if you really want to take this seriously, you should come and train with me." He was fantastic to me. Like, I mean, he was. Yes, I did pay something, but it was like nothing. I think it was just, I don't know, to cover something, right. His insurance, or I don't know. He didn't really charge me that much, or he barely charged me to train me, and to me it was an honor to be part of his team, be training with someone like him, because he's not just an amazing legend, an amazing fighter. He's an amazing human being.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, one of the biggest names in the sport. If you follow the sport for quite some time, I mean, just the leg kicks alone, the guy the guy was known for a lot, but in particular the leg kicks. Now, I think I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that you actually fought in Pride, as you mentioned, against Mirko Krokop, Kazuhiro Nakamura in 2004 as well. But let's fast forward to now. You've been involved in the most successful Latin MMA promotion around, Combate Americas. Tell us how you ended up there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that makes me really happy. To be part of this amazing company is just incredible, because we're doing fantastic things. The company has grown in an amazing way. We are creating our talent. We are taking this talent to the place where they need to be. And for me, being Mexican, being Latin, is amazing to be in a company where we pushed Latin talent, where the 70%, I will say, of our talent is from Latin America. I mean, that doesn't mean we don't take fighters from other nationalities. As long as they have the talent, as long as they have the passion, they have a spot in this company. And the reason why I ended up here is because when I met my boss and friend Campbell McLaren, the owner of Combate Americas and one of the founders of the UFC, when we met, he wanted me to fight for Combate Americas. That's when he was starting the company, and he threw a big number, a good number out there for me. So I started thinking about it. But when that happened, I was already a WWE champion, and I was already making good money and having a good life and everything. And I told Campbell, hey, you know what? Let me go back and let me go back to the gym to be in fighting shape, because as you know, and many people knows, there's a big difference between being in shape and being in fighting shape. So you can look good, but that doesn't mean that you can you can fight.
Absolutely.
You can look like $1 million, but that doesn't mean shit in the sport. So I went back to get back. I went to the gym to get back in fighting shape, and after 2 weeks training, I remember myself doing sparring with somebody at the James Lake's gym in San Antonio, And I also remember my little boy just sitting in the corner and asking me, "Hey, Daddy, when do we go home? When do we get to go home? I want to go home." And I was just like, "Hey, one more round, one more round." And suddenly, I removed my boxing gloves and I pulled a Roberto Manos de Piedra Duran out there and said, "Hey, no mas." I said, I don't feel it, and if I don't feel it, it's not gonna work. So I called Camel and I told him, hey, Camel, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I guess I'm not hungry anymore for MMA. I tried it. I'm sorry. Sorry for making you waste your time, but no, I don't think I can fight for you. Then Campbell said, "Hey, thank you for your honesty. I'm pretty sure I will find a place for you in this company, in my company, because I want you to help me find talent and take Latin talent to the place where they need to be." And then a year after, he did call me, and he presented me where the company was at the time and where he wanted to take the company. And then, well, the rest is history. I'm part of the Combate Americas familia. These days, and I'm saying this from the heart, pro wrestling will always be the love of my life. But I can say that these days I divorced from pro wrestling, and I remarried with MMA, specifically with Combate Americas.
Now, you mentioned a lot there, but obviously Campbell McLaren, like you said, one of the founders of the UFC, and quite frankly, a brilliant man in the sport, involved in promotion. You couldn't really ask for a better boss, right?
No, I mean, he's more my friend than my boss. He's a fantastic man. I can tell you this. I have worked for big organizations around the world, and but there's something special about Combate Americas. And the people that knows Alberto Del Rio, they know I'm not a bullshitter. I always say what I think. Sometimes I've got myself in troubles for saying what I think, but that didn't stop me before. It's not going to stop me now. And in this company, like when you come to work, you have a big smile in your face. I used to work in many other places, and I will get up early in the morning to take my flight, and I will be seated on the edge of the bed, thinking, "Oh my God, I gotta go to fucking work again." And in this company, I promise you, I get excited about what's coming. I do what I love. I want to. The other day, my boss said something pretty cool. I don't know if he came up with it or he read it somewhere, but he said, "When you love what you do, you don't work a day of your life." And that's the way I feel right now. I love what I do. I love what we're doing in Combate, the mission that we have, and the place where the company is going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I know that's a long time adage or saying that you do what you love and you never work a day in your life. But I feel like you bring an invaluable promotional skill to the table, considering your background. What has your experience been like for you so far? And what would you say makes you unique as an executive in a brand of MMA?
Well, I can also. It's for many reasons. We are pushing Latin talent, Mexican talent, and for all those, most of those Latin Mexican young fighters, they know who I am. They have seen me through the years, and I became a role model for them about success, about people coming into this amazing country and working hard and accomplishing their dreams. So I think that was the first and probably the main reason why my good friend and boss, Cameron McLaren, invited me to be part of Combate Americas. And also because he knows the value these days when it comes to the entertainment part of the business. Like these days, we're not just fighters. You cannot just be a fighter. You need to know how to sell the fight, sell yourself, because if you sell yourself and you sell the fight in the right way, you can make millions. You can make a lot of money to yourself and the company. So that's another aspect that we have been working with these athletes, with these fighters. I'm helping them to develop that personality, to bring that personality that they have out there, because we know this. We have Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, those guys with a big personality, people that they are not just good fighters, great fighters, but they also are showmen, show women. They know how to sell a fight, and they know what you can get if you are not just an amazing fighter, but also someone that can draw people and put people in those seats or buying pay-per-views.
Right, absolutely. I mean, as you've seen, we've kind of transitioned from the old guard of MMA, and we kind of are in that, I want to say, kind of pro wrestling era in regards to promotion for the sport of mixed martial arts. So again, a guy like yourself coming into the position that you're in with Combate Americas, you bring a lot to the table in regards to building this talent, and obviously there's a ton of eager guys and gals to pull from Latin America, right?
Yes, I mean we have a lot of fighters that they never had the opportunity that they have right now with Combate Americas. They tried, but for whatever reason, some of them didn't. They just didn't have the talent to make it in other companies, or in the sport. Forget about other companies in the sport. But some others were not just. They were just not getting the opportunity that they needed or they deserve, for whatever reason. But here we are giving those guys that never had an opportunity anywhere else. That we're knocking doors, but that door never opened for them. We're opening the door for them. We're doing tryouts everywhere we go, and we're picking the best fighters in Latin America. And little by little, we have created something amazing. Our numbers are fantastic. Like when in numbers, we are just right behind the UFC. We are the most seen MMA company in Spanish around the world, and that I know the language we speak here in America, it's English, but we do better numbers when it comes to the broadcasting in Spanish than the big companies or the biggest company, UFC. We do the same in Spain. And we do it like in numbers. We're crushing any other company in Mexico. And this is something that I like that I always like to share. When I started working in this position with Combate Americas, I was just throwing something out there for the media, and I said, "Oh, we will have better numbers than UFC here in Mexico, in my country, in less than a year." And, I mean, I'm really happy to say this because we ended up really doing that after 6 months. Our numbers are fantastic. And it's just because we have an amazing group of people behind the scenes working for this company, and we have amazing fighters giving absolutely everything inside the cage for us.
No, that's a really important thing that you're mentioning there. I mean, you go anywhere, right? The UFC tries to break into China or any new market. It's all about the homegrown talent. People from these countries want to see their own heroes, right? So that's kind of what separates you guys. But I'm wondering, aside from the obvious focus on Latino athletes, what separates you guys as a promotion from the UFC in general, I guess?
Can you please say that again? I'm sorry. My phone was breaking up.
No problem. Obviously, you're focusing on Latino athletes, but I'm wondering what separates you guys from the UFC in regards to, being a promotion. What are you guys doing differently that the other guys aren't?
I mean, the sport has been invented already. We're just like trying to do certain things a little bit different than the way they do it in other companies. We're taking fighters that started as boxers, and then they made the transition into grappling, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. When in other companies they do it the other way around, right? You got the grapplers, the wrestlers learning how to box. So that's the reason we have more knockouts here. We have the highest average when it comes to knockouts and submissions out there. We also, because our cage, our jaula, it's rounded. There's no corners, and as you know, when you don't have corners, you have less room to run or to be running inside the cage, and that brings more action. That brings more action, and that brings a different aspect, a different value for the fights. We're also looking at a market that was that it was looked down by another companies. As we know, Brazil has always been one of the top countries for MMA, or the top the number one country for MMA, alongside with the United States. But we are focusing in those countries where they never, the other organizations never wanted to work or never worked with those athletes.
So what's the plan for expansion of the brand? You know, I know you're saying that you guys have one of the best broadcast deals in place for the Latin-speaking community, but what are the plans for expansion? Are you guys looking to maybe break a bit more into South America, into the United States? What's the plan for the future?
Well, we're walking before running, but I think we are doing it in the right way. These days, we have our English broadcaster with the Zone. We started with that because we know a lot of people, billions, speak Spanish, but we also know that the international business language is English. Right. And because we've had a lot of people approaching to us and saying, "Hey, guys, we love what you guys do, but we don't understand what you're saying." So what the hell? Yeah, you're right. We have an amazing product with a lot of action, and we're doing this with a lot of passion. But hey, we want to be up there. We want to be the number one. We want to be one of the best organizations, or the best organization out there. Hey, we need to speak the language of the business language, and that's why we started that deal with our good friends from the Zone, and now the English speakers can enjoy Combate Americas through the Zone. We are, as you know, and for those not knowing this, we are with Univision, though they are our Spanish broadcasters, and we have other networks in other places like Mexico, where the people could see us through TV Azteca, and we are in Gold TV in Spain. We are the number one sports TV show in Spain. And we're people are already seeing us in Latin America. We're gonna go to places like Colombia, like Uruguay, for the next year in 2019. We're also talking about going to Spain in 2019. So this company is expanding already. We have everything in our favor. We have the right people behind the project, and the right fighters that are bringing excitement, passion, and action every single time we have Combate Americas events.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Obviously, there's plenty of new markets to break into, but you mentioned DAZN there, and I think that is a wise move. That seems to be the future, right? People are kind of cutting the cord, getting away from cable. The best way to approach them is through the internet, right?
Yes, exactly. And especially for our main audience at the moment. Of course, we want everybody enjoying Combate Americas, but we know that right now our number one market is the Latin market, and the Zone is offering to all the Latino fans of combat sports. The opportunity to have Canelo and Combate through the Zone. So if you're a boxing fan and you love Canelo and you like to watch Canelo, either if you want to watch him losing or winning, you get the Zone, you get Canelo, you get Combate Americas. So you have the opportunity to enjoy the best of the best when it comes of mixed martial arts and boxing in Latin America through the Zone.
Right, that's a no-brainer there. Hey, listen, man. I know we're going a bit over time here. How are you doing on time? Are you good?
Oh, we're good, man. No, don't worry about it.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking just a few more minutes here. I know in the beginning here we kind of went a little bit over, but I think it's good that everybody who's not familiar with you got to know you a little bit. But you guys have an event this weekend, correct?
Yeah, we are here in Fresno, California. We have the biggest event of the year for us here in Combate Americas. The Copa Combate. It's something amazing. Last year was fantastic, my friend. It was the first Copa. It was in Cancun, Mexico, and this year we have the second edition here in Fresno, California. 8 fighters, 8 nationalities competing for $100,000 and the privilege of being called the Copa Combate champion. But this time for this edition we added something even we have the plus. The winner is gonna take home the biggest trophy in sports. Period. It's a 6 foot tall gold trophy, beautiful trophy that the winner is gonna be taking home.
6 feet tall.
6 feet tall, man. Like
wow.
heavy as fuck. The question is how the winner, because you have to, in order to become the champion, you have to fight 3 times in one night. So now the question is, I hope, no, not the question, but I want to see how the winner is gonna lift that big trophy over his head if he wins it after 3 fights. That's gonna be another challenge for the champion. Not just those 3 fights that he has to fight in order to become the champion, but also to take that trophy home.
So it is a Grand Prix tournament format.
Yes. Just like in the old days of UFC, like they used to do it in Japan, and we were the first ones doing it last year, and I know a lot of companies are doing it these days. But this is going to be our second edition. We have great fighters fighting tomorrow. Today we're going to be having the weigh-ins, the official weigh-ins at 5:30. But tomorrow is going to be the Copa event. And again, last year was phenomenal. This year we have better fighters. The company has a better structure. We're more experienced, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be phenomenal.
I got to say, that's something that I know personally, and a lot of fans, they crave that old format of the Grand Prix. And, Lord knows how much I missed it, because it takes out so much of the politics, and it makes the fight so much more compelling, knowing that they're going to have to compete 2 more times after that initial opening round. Did you guys run into any trouble trying to get that sanctioned? Since day number 1, we've been like struggling with many things. I mean, when we started, not even the fighters wanted to come and fight for us because they didn't know who we are. They didn't know. They wanted to go to other organizations, and right.
We were like literally calling them, like knocking on their doors. Hey man, come and fight for us. These days we have the privilege to have a lot of fighters picking us instead of going and fighting for other organizations. We are creating opportunities, creating role models for the future generations, and creating jobs and everything. And as you know, it's not to promote MMA or any sport is not an easy task. Just for this tournament, just for this one in particular, we lost 2 other fighters. One of the fighters couldn't get his working visa. We did everything in our power, but it was just one of those where I guess the immigration officer was in a bad mood that day, and he said no. And then the other one, injuries happen all the time in this sport because it's a really demanding sport. And Gaston Reino, the fighter representing Uruguay, got hurt just 2 weeks ago, and we have to replace him, and we have to replace the Spaniard fighter. But we know we're going to be having situations like this today, tomorrow, and a year from now, 20 years from now. But
of course,
these days, with these days, we have the team. We have the right team behind the curtain to help us relieve all of those situations. And this sport is beautiful. You always have fighters willing to take those fights. We take care of them all the time, and we are rewarding these fighters every time they come and they take fights like this with short notice. We're always giving them an extra bonus if they give us just like they do in the biggest organization when it comes to MMA. They get bonuses for fight of the night, for submission of the night, and sometimes even just because they gave us a fantastic fight, even though it was not the fight of the night, even if they didn't have the submission of the night, we rewarded them with extra money because we want them to know that we really appreciate what they do for the company, and if we do well, they do well.
Absolutely, and that's so important for fighters to feel like they're taken care of and respected and appreciated. They go out there and put on better performances, which in turn helps everybody, the promotion included. But you mentioned something earlier about community outreach, and I just wanted to get back to that for a moment. Like I said, with One Championship, they're doing all kinds of stuff in every country that they have an event at. Going out and helping the communities. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing to accomplish that same kind of a community outreach, and how much of a benefit that is to the brand of Combate America.
Well, more than a benefit, I mean, it's just we giving back because these days we are in the position to do it because we have important people trusting in our product, so they have invested their money on us because they know we're doing the right things to take the brand where it needs to be. And because now these days we have that extra money, we can go and give a little bit or a lot back to society, and particularly through the children. I do a lot of stuff in Mexico on my own, and now Combate Americas is helping me to do it even more. In Mexico, I have a charity association that helps children that lost their parents after the earthquake that we have in Mexico last year. I started it. I started with 9 children, and thanks to my good friend and boss Campbell, my client, and other important people in the company, I was able to go from 9 children to 25. We're closing the year with 25 kids. We have secured their education till the end of their career. If they want to go to college, those 25 kids are going to be able to do it, thanks to the work that we've been doing. And we're also doing a lot of stuff working together with the Salvation Army. This is in Texas because that's the place where I live. And just this time here in California, we decided to start going and doing seminars for the future fighters of the sport, seminars and motivation, going and giving motivational speeches with some of our fighters, going to schools. Just now, because today we have the weigh-ins, it was just me going to Fresno, the Fresno University, and giving a motivational speech for more than 50 students, and just telling them about my life experience and how amazing it was for me to come into this country and take the opportunities that this country has to offer. And we want to continue doing that every single time we're presenting Combate Americas everywhere we go.
I got to tell you, man, obviously all of that stuff is amazing work, but what you're doing with those kids involved in the earthquake, that is beautiful, man.
Thank you so much. I actually started it because I can do it. Number one, and number two, because I was there. I was there when that happened. I was doing an interview in TV Azteca, one of the most important networks down there, when the earthquake happened, and I actually had my kids visiting my mom and dad with me when all of this happened. So when the earthquake passed, the first thing it crossed my mind was my children. And then when I left the studio and I saw buildings, houses, like completely destroyed, I totally lost it. I was calling my mom and dad, and of course because of the earthquake, all the cell phone signals, all the telephone communication was down. I couldn't get a hold of my parents, and I was just thinking the worst. Luckily for me, I got to my parents' house and everything was okay with them. But I know many families, many children didn't have the same as me. Not many families were as lucky as I was, and that's when I decided to start doing for those children. I approached to the Mexico City government. They also have been helping us to do this amazing job, amazing task, and helping these children, and also many brands down there in Mexico, like Under Armour and other brands, they have been helping us to do this, because it's not easy, it's not cheap, you spend a lot of money,
Right.
but when you see these children and you start thinking about them not having anyone else, and if you have the opportunity to do it because you are somebody, you can approach two important people that can help you to take them to the place they need to be in life, and you don't do it, well, you feel you should be ashamed of yourself.
I couldn't agree more, man. And it sucks when you see those kind of things happen, and then not the international community doesn't respond in the way that you would hope to help out their neighbors. And Mexico City is not too far, man. You know what I mean? We're all people at the end of the day. We're all brothers and sisters, so you gotta look out for everybody. But it sounds like that was near and dear to your heart, to say the least. But listen, let's keep it moving here. Changing gears, you announced a month ago that you'd like to return to mixed martial arts. Tell us about that decision, that announcement. What was the motivation for you there?
We have already talked about what Combate Americas is, and my relationship, my friendship with my boss and friend Campbell, my client. He is a man who has been with me in the good times, bad times, worst times, and now again in the great times. Some people know this, some other people don't. But I got divorced years ago, and the battle for the custody of my children was brutal. It was brutal. Sometimes it's like that when you are somebody, when you work hard and you made a living and you have stuff. There's always people wanting to take that from you.
Right.
And,
it gets ugly.
Unfortunately, they were using my kids to do that, to get that from me, and the battle, it was brutal, But thank God that's in the past. I have my children with me. I had rough days. I had rough months. It was almost a year where I was just in not feeling well, because
Right.
my children are everything for me, and not having them was killing me. And I had my friend, my boss, the entire company behind me, supporting me every single day, checking on me every single day. And when you get a friend like that, when you get a place like that taking care of you, you have a responsibility to pay loyalty with loyalty. And now, after all those days, after that nightmare, I started reevaluating my life, and I was thinking about the stuff I lost, the friends that stayed, the friends that decided to leave, and I said to myself, okay, how can I give back to all these amazing people that never turned their backs on me? And looking at the place where the company is right now, where we can take this company, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for this company, because if I do it, thinking about this, if we are doing a lot of shows in Mexico, in my country, Mexico, and we go and do shows for 3,000, 4,000 people. But when I go and do pro wrestling shows in Mexico, or here in the States, but I'm saying Mexico because we have bigger shows in the indie circuit, the indie pro wrestling circuit in Mexico.
Right.
So if I go there and I do a pro wrestling show, I draw 15, 18,000 people. Just 3 months ago, I draw 18,000 people in my hometown, San Luis Potosí. So I said to myself, if I make a comeback and I fight for this company, for Combate Americas, I'm pretty sure we can draw those 18,000 people, or even more. We can have a show. We can hold a show in Arena Ciudad de Mexico for 25,000 people. We can probably maybe make that a pay-per-view. And if it's not a pay-per-view, we will have millions and millions watching it. And when you go from having shows for 4,000 people to having a show for 25,000 people, all the brands, all the sponsors are going to be watching. They're going to want to see why this company is drawing 25,000 people, and they will want to invest money. They will want to be part of it, and that's the main reason why why I'm doing it. I remember my dad. My dad has been my mentor, my friend, my dad, my friend, my mentor in life, not just in the business. But I remember my dad coming to me and saying, "Hey, why are you doing this? I just want to know if you're doing it for the right reasons." And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing it for the right reasons. I have something to prove. I have something to prove to myself. I have to prove. I want to prove myself. I don't have nothing to prove to anybody else because I've done everything." Just these days with the internet, with social media, people, they just want you to give them an explanation of absolutely everything. But I was not going to go out there on social media, on Twitter, and tell people, "Hey, you know what? Well, guess what? I cannot see my children. I cannot even approach my children, and it's gonna be like that until God knows what." And because I didn't do it, I didn't want to do it. Like, people didn't know what was going on, right? But that's why I told my dad I'm doing it for the right reasons. I have something to prove to myself, to prove that I'm completely back, that those horrible days, that nightmare is in the past, and that I'm here ready for bigger and better things, and also because by doing that I'm gonna be helping this company to get to the place where we want this company to be.
It sounds to me, honestly, man, it lends itself to the kind of character that you are. Not only is this a personal journey for you and something that you need to prove to yourself, but you're trying to give back to the people that had your back through the darkest times of your life.
Yes, definitely. Because I mean, we can talk for hours about how horrible those days were.
Right, of course.
And for people out there having children, and especially having children, but doing the sacrifices that you have to do for your children. When that's my favorite job in the world, being a daddy. I'm a single dad. And I enjoy every single day or every single thing that I do with my children. And to me, not having them was really difficult. And Campbell was always there. My friend, my boss was there every single week. All of them were just always checking on me, seeing if they could help me, helping me. And man, not everybody has the opportunity to have a friend like that, to work for a company like that support you no matter what.
Right.
And that's why I said to myself, "Hey, you're gonna do this." And also, the money is pretty good. Campbell threw a really good amount of money on the table for me for this. And also, like, I'm a big fan of the Rocky movies, and I remember that scene when Rocky is telling Paulie, "Hey, I need to get the beast out of the basement." That's how I feel. Like, I feel like I have to get something out of me, get that beast out of the basement. And I started like going back. I went back to the gym, and I started just like kicking ass and working hard every day. And then I said to myself, "Hey, I think I can do this again." And well, hopefully we're gonna be doing this. And I think April next year. Of course, I'm being smart. I retired for pretty much 12, 13 years. I retired 12, 13 years ago. So I don't want to rush into anything. So I'm doing it the right way. I started getting back and getting my stamina back, my cardio back.
Right.
And now we just 2 weeks ago, we started like doing sparring a little bit. Next year I'm gonna move. I'm gonna come here to California and train with I don't know, I have a lot of friends in the business, and I feel blessed because all of them are offering me their help. They want me to do my training camp with them, and I'm gonna be having a lot of people, good friends like Gilbert Melendez has offered me his help to train me for this. So, I'm doing my stuff in San Antonio right now, but next year in January, I'm going to be here in Cali training, busting my ass, about kicking people's ass and getting my ass kicked every day to be ready for this fight.
So obviously there's a lot of outreach to help you. There's plenty of opportunity for you to go train. But, this being your swan song, your Rocky story, is this going to be a one and done deal, or are you looking to make another run in this sport?
Well, never say never. I mean, I just want to have that one fight to get that beast out of the basement, and also to help this company to get to the place where I want this company to be. But that's why they say never say never, right? When I started in MMA, after the first fight, I was like, I remember being in the back waiting for my fight, and I said to myself, okay, I think this is gonna be it. I'll make this money. I'll use this money I will invest this money somewhere, and that's gonna be it. And I ended up doing another 10 fights. So so far, right now, I just want to do one more fight. Because like I said earlier, I'm doing it for the right reasons, and I think that's the way it's going to be. But again, I don't want to never say never, right?
Right. Now, there's no conflict of interest in being an executive position for the company, competing for the company as well.
Well, no, not really, because the company is working with me on this. So in the moment I decide to go. I decide to go to come to California to do my training camp. I'm gonna step out of the way and let somebody do what I've been doing with Combate.
Okay.
For 3-4 months. Yes, I mean I love this company. I don't want to be one of those guys saying, no, I want to do it. I want to fucking do it all. I can do everything. No, I'm not one of those guys. Somebody needs to take my spot in the organization while I'm training and being focused on what I'm planning on doing. And then, I mean, this is home for me. Again, Campbell and I, we're friends. We have supported each other since day number one with this amazing project, now reality, Combate Americas. And whenever I'm done fighting, I will have my spot in the company, in the office again.
Now, you mentioned you're targeting April 2019. How are you guys approaching the matchmaking for this return? Is there anybody that you have in mind at this point?
Well, we have many names in our head, and many possibilities. It's definitely going to be a big name. I mean, I'm not going to, since we're thinking about just one fight and that's it, it has to be someone that has done something in the sport.
Right.
If I was thinking on having 3, 4, 5, or to make to make many fights, yeah, I mean, we will be throwing a lot of names out there, but we're trying to pick the right one, someone that will bring what we need. I'm not trying to find an easy opponent, that's for sure. That's if for people thinking or questioning that. It's not going to be like that. I'm going to have a good opponent, a great opponent, someone that was champion or did something amazing in the sport, because that's the way I want to go. I don't want to just take a fight and just because of my position in the company handpick someone to just kick his ass inside the cage. So it's not going to be like that. We're doing it the right way, and if he kicks my ass, hey, so be it. We will still get. It's a win. I have been saying this since we started talking about this fight. It's a win-win situation for the company. If I lose, we still get those 25,000 people coming to the arena to watch that night. We will have those sponsors. We will have those networks paying money to have that. So the company wins no matter what. If I win, well, I mean, it's just like that would be the cherry on top, right, for this company.
Absolutely. I'm
doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the money, but I'm doing it. I'm looking at the big picture, where this company is going, and we have an amazing product, and we can be doing this for many years, for many years from now.
Well, I got to tell you, man, not a lot of guys would put their neck on the line like you're doing for Combate Americas. And at 41 years of age, I got to commend you for even considering a comeback. But we've seen plenty of athletes make successful comebacks over the years. Too many to name, and if they can do it, you can do it, right?
Definitely. I mean, that's exactly the set of mind that I have. And again, I'm taking this. Like I have always taken everything seriously. I'm a passionate man, and I everything I do it because I know I can do it, and I don't go halfway. I always go till the end. And I've been training like crazy. People that are familiar with who Alberto Del Rio is, they can see how my body has been changing in the past 8 weeks, 10 weeks. since I started training for the fight. And I'm faster, I'm stronger. I'm not gonna be one of those bullshitters saying, "Oh, I feel better than ever." Fuck you. When you're 40, you don't feel 20. Don't give me that bullshit. I mean, it's just ridiculous when people say that. No. I mean, of course, I have some aches on my in certain parts of my body, and then I remember the first week after my first week of training. Oh my God, man! Everything hurt. I was hurting. I was hurting everywhere. Even my hair was hurting, brother. I mean, but these days I feel really good, and I'm gonna continue improving, getting faster, getting stronger, and I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready. And the opponent. We haven't picked the opponent. We have some names, good names, but we will let people know about this probably in January, at the end of January.
Very good, very good. All right, listen, Alberto, man, I know we went way over time here, but it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, man. There's a bunch of old school wrestling stuff I would have loved to cover with you, but hopefully we can get you back on the show one day and do just that. But in conclusion, tell all the fans out there what they can expect from you when you make this MMA return. And where can everybody stay up to date on Combate Americas? And, of course, plug the Copa Combate coming up this weekend on DAZN.
No, thank you for supporting Combate Americas, and to all the fans, the MMA fans out there. Just wait and see, because I'm gonna be making a big return. It's gonna be a fantastic fight. I have a lot of respect for everything I do, either pro wrestling or MMA. I have nothing but respect for both sports, and it's gonna be fantastic. And also for all those fans, continue watching Combate Americas. And if you haven't watched Combate Americas, do it, because I haven't met one single person watching the show or going to one of our shows and not falling in love with it.
All right, awesome, man. I'm certainly looking forward to your eventual return coming up here in April. You've sold me on Combate Americas. I've only seen a couple events, but I'm going to make sure that I follow this one more closely for sure. Anything you think we missed? Anything else you'd like to plug or promote? The floor is yours, man.
I think we're all covered, and amigo. I mean, it has been a pleasure for me. So whenever you feel like you could give us another interview, just let us know, and I'll be happy to do it, man. Thank you for supporting us.
Absolutely. Thanks again for the time today, man. Best of luck getting back into the swing of training full time, and that eventual return to combat. We'll definitely be here to help you guys hype this thing up and all the future events. Have a great holiday as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you for supporting Combate. Take care, buddy.
All right, you too, bud. Later. As I said in the beginning of the show, Alberto certainly lived up to the hype. I look forward to having him on again. It really was an enjoyable conversation for me. I'd like to personally pick his brain on the heyday of pro wrestling. I was a big WCW guy. I loved the NWO during the Monday Night Wars. And given his background in competing in Japan, the Lucha Libre, being a huge star in Mexico, I could probably chat that guy up about the heyday of pro wrestling for quite some time. But we'll save that for another day. Make sure you guys try to tune in for Combate Americas. The Copa Combate happened last weekend. Very successful event. You should have seen the pictures of the trophy. It was enormous. So get on board with them, watch some events, go to the website, and make sure you guys stay on the lookout for Alberto's return to action in the company, April 2019. But let's keep it rolling. BJPenn.com Radio, the fighter's voice, closing out this episode. One championship, lightweight king, the landslide, Eduard Folayang. All right, Penn Nation, please welcome to the show, current lightweight kingpin in one championship and one of the most exciting guys to watch in mixed martial arts right now, the man they call the landslide, Eduard Folayang. Thanks for taking the time to join us today, Eduard. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. So I'm excited.
Right, hey, us as well, man. It's always a pleasure to speak with such a talented guy like yourself. You're calling us from the Philippines, correct? What time is it over there?
Here in the Philippines, it's already 10 o'clock in the morning.
What's on the agenda for you today? I'd imagine you'll be headed to the gym at some point.
No, we will be having a video shoot for one championship, so I still have a time for to do some quick interview with you.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. So let's jump right into it, man. You're coming off the decision victory over Aamir Khan to recapture the vacant lightweight title at One Conquest the Champions back on November 23rd. First things first, man, how happy are you with your performance?
Yeah, I've been able to implement my game plan well, and I've been able to what do you call this one? I've been able to overcome the things that Aamir wants to do.
Now, Aamir Khan is a tough guy, and as I mentioned, you were able to get the nod from the judges at the end of the fight. Did Aamir do anything in there that surprised you at all?
Not that much, I know that he will be going for the takedown and get my back, and I prepared well for that, and it's a great thing I've been able to capitalize also on my striking skills.
Absolutely, some of the best striking in the entire promotion, that's for sure. Now, obviously, being a proud Filipino, it only makes the victory that much better, being able to go out there and perform in front of all your fans in Manila, right?
Yeah, of course. It's such a great feeling to perform well with with the people around you.
Absolutely, man. It was a great night for the Filipino fans as well. Yourself, Brandon Vera, a couple others, all successful in your matchups. What is the experience, of being a superstar in the Philippines? What has that been like for you? I'd imagine it's very humbling for an athlete like yourself.
Well, what can I say? It's always an honor to be with to be in the position wherein I can be influence my countrymen in this sport. The the honor is great, but I think it's just a token for doing the things that you love to do, and representing the people that had been there with you since day one.
Right, so for you, it's just it's a very proud experience. You're proud to be able to do this.
Yeah, of course,
Right, now, we all know how big of a star like a guy like Ang La has become in Myanmar. Have you reached that level of popularity as well, or are you able to walk down the street, or does everyone ask you for pictures and autographs now?
Oh yeah, there's a lot, but Ong La is really a rock star in Myanmar. I wasn't able to witness it, but seeing it in the social media and on a lot of coverage, I think I'm not on his level, but I'm grateful. A lot of Filipino people are already noticing what we are doing in this sport of mixed martial arts.
Do you think you'll be able to reach that same level at some point, or are you just happy to be where you're at right now?
It will be an icing of the cake if I can be able to reach that. Mixed martial arts is very huge now in the Philippines, and it continue to grow. So I think in the right time, if I can perform better and better, then I can be able to reach that.
Right, all a matter of time. All a matter of time. Now,
yes.
The title that you just reclaimed against Aamir, it was vacated by Martin Nguyen following the injury Martin had suffered. You and Martin obviously have some history as he had defeated you to win that title. Is that the next fight for you, or is there another matchup that you have in mind in the interim?
I think he relinquished already the lightweight belt, and he will be focusing now on the featherweight. So I don't know if who will be the next one for me, but most probably I think it's Shinya.
Oh, so you believe Shinya Aoki is the next challenger for your title?
Yeah, I think so.
And I mean, you already have a win over Shinya. I'd imagine you feel very comfortable going into another fight against him.
It's fine with me. Because Shinya also made his way to be back on the top contender level again. But there will be a lightweight Grand Prix next year, so I don't know what will be the next arrangement for the division.
Right, that was going to be my next question. There's a lot of excitement surrounding this lightweight Grand Prix, the tournament that One Championship announced. We'll be seeing newly signed Eddie Alvarez competing for a chance to challenge for that title as well. Give us your thoughts on a potential matchup against Eddie.
It will be a great matchup. I had seen Eddie Alvarez on. I had been able to follow him on his fights, and he's a great martial artist. He had been able to get the Bellator lightweight championship and also the UFC championship. So for him, he will be looking to get another shot for the one championship lightweight belt. So I think if given the chance, it will be a great matchup.
And that's a big opportunity for you, right? To compete against the guy that has all of that experience and all of those fans coming over from the Western markets. That's a big opportunity for you to get a win over a guy like that, right?
Yeah, of course. It's a good opportunity for me, and it's a good experience for me to be facing that kind of caliber.
Now, I'm wondering, are you going to be competing in this Grand Prix as well?
I don't know how will be the arrangement with it, because I'm the lightweight champion now. So I will be just waiting for a couple of months, I think, or next year for whatever arrangement that will be.
Right. Now, are you content? Are you cool with waiting around that long to fight again, or would you rather say fight Shinya Aoki in the meantime just to stay active?
I can fight with Shinya, or I can wait. It depends on how the division will go, because I think it will be a busy year for the lightweight division. So I don't want to be stuck. Also, as much as possible, I want to take the opportunity to compete again.
Right. Now, when you look at the Grand Prix, do you think that Eddie Alvarez? Do you think he'll be the favorite to win?
Most probably, but everyone in the division is hungry. Everyone in the division is, of course, right now they're all preparing for it. So it will be a good opportunity for everyone in the lightweight division.
Absolutely, and if we know anything about the sport of mixed martial arts, is that anything can happen on any given night. So
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% there.
Even 1 second,
Right.
Even in just 1 second, everything happens.
Yep. Now, One Championship also recently signed Sage Northcutt. While I'm not sure if he'll be involved in the Grand Prix or not, he's definitely a guy that you'll likely cross paths with at some point. What was your reaction to Sage joining the promotion?
Yeah, we welcome him in One Championship. I don't know if what division he will be competing, if either in lightweight or welterweight. But he had a good record, and his name is also huge. So I think it added more excitement and spices on the division, if in case he will be fighting in the lightweight division.
Right. Now, Eddie, Demetrius, Sage, recently announced Yoshihiro Akiyama. One Championship continues to bring over these big names, and it's a very exciting time for all of you there. we all know that Chatri is focused on martial arts and telling the story behind all of you athletes, and instead of the promoting of trash talk and things of that nature. That being said, is this just the beginning for One Championship taking over the MMA world, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it just started. I think there's more good news that will be coming out these coming days. So I'm excited with it.
Absolutely. It must feel really good to be a part of such a well-respected company and to be along on this journey of global expansion. Do you feel like a win over some some of these guys to, get some of those Western fans, to follow you and follow your career, that's incredibly beneficial to a guy like yourself, right? To expand your horizons and get some more fans worldwide, right?
Yeah, of course. That's one of the things we're looking into.
Right, absolutely, man, and I'm certainly looking forward to all the future has in store for you and the promotion, again, with all this exciting news that keeps coming out. But listen, Edward, you've been more than generous with your time. I just got a couple more questions here for you. Changing gears here for a moment, I saw that your team visited the Filipino Senate a couple days ago. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was such a great honor, Lord, to be, to have a courtesy call with the Senate, and they made a resolution giving us a congratulatory for what we are doing in the sport of mixed martial arts. So it's such a great feeling to be with our legislators who appreciate what we are doing in this world of martial arts.
Right, and on top of that, I know that One Championship encourages you guys to do a lot of community outreach. I'm sure that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're doing there in the Senate. Obviously, anybody involved in politics greatly appreciates what you're doing for the community as well, right?
Yeah, of course. But what we also want to give is the message that especially to the youth, that they can be able to be in the path where we are if they keep working hard and doing the right thing in the respective abilities that was given to them.
Right, absolutely. You want to show the young children that there's opportunity and hard work will pay off eventually.
Yeah, of course. That's the message that we want.
Now, could we see you potentially make your way into politics at some point? I know Brandon Vera has expressed interest in doing so. Is that something that might be on your plate in the future?
Yeah. Right now, I am not into politics right now.
Right. Focused on fighting.
Yeah,
right.
I think I can do more. I can do more things on doing the things that I love rather than shifting into another career where there's a lot of things that are going wrong.
Right. Well, I'm sure if you did, man, I'm sure you'd win your election by a landslide. So, so for all the fans out there that support you and that are eager to see you back in competition, what can they expect from the landslide in 2019?
Oh yeah, it will be another huge landslide that will be coming out. I really want to improve every competition that I'll be going into. So 2018 will be wrapping up for just a couple of days. So 2019 will be more exciting.
All right, very good. Listen, again, I greatly appreciate you joining us today, Edward. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I hope we can catch up again soon. Looking forward to all the future has in store for you, man. I truly believe that it is a bright future indeed. Before we let you go, though, anything you think we missed? Any shout-outs, any sponsor plugs? The floor is yours, my friend.
I would like to thank One Championship for the opportunity to be a champion again. and of course my sponsors, my teammates, my family who are there since I started this journey. Thank you also for this time to give me the time to give all this shout out.
Absolutely, of course, man. Again, I hope we can catch up again soon. Have a great day across the globe, my friend, and we'll chat again in the future. Greatly appreciate the time, buddy.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good day, Edward.
Hey, have a good day. Have a good night there.
Yeah, right. Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
Later. All right, folks, there you have it. The landslide himself. As most of the stars in One Championship are, very humble guy, down to earth, a true martial artist in every sense of the word, and one hell of a competitor. It was just announced yesterday, I believe, that One Championship has landed a American distribution deal for television with TNT. So for all you fans out there that haven't been wise enough to download the One Super app, coming to a television near you, you'll be able to see Eduard Folayang compete. And all of the other incredible talent that they have recently signed, and will continue to sign, I have no doubt. But that's it for us, folks. Coming up on our next episode, BJPenn.com Radio, episode 108, we'll be joined by Valentina Shevchenko, Colby Covington, and maybe a couple others. But until then, on behalf of the whole team at BJPenn.com, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow us on social media, check out the website, set up alerts so you get the breaking news when it breaks. BJPenn.com, the fighter's voice. We have got you covered, guys. Everything you crave from the sport you love of mixed martial arts. You guys know what's up. BJPenn.com. So again, I'm your host, Jay Kinch, signing off. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out, everybody.